Hello, my name is Starlight. Welcome to my YouTube channel. And if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. And if you also like this video, please subscribe to my channel. I would really appreciate this. And so anyway, I just want to see how all of you are doing before I get started. And as always, I want to make sure that you are being kind to yourself and that you're being kind to others. Even the people that you see out in the store, don't be afraid to look them in the eye and give them a smile. Or, if you're hiking, let them know that you love them. And don't, forget about your kids. Make sure you let them know that they are loved. They need to hear that, no matter how old they are. Especially when they're getting like teenagers, they need to hear even more. And also, don't forget about your pets. I love animals, so all little creatures, even spiders. Hard to believe, but yeah, I love all the animals. Actually, I love them so much I don't eat them anymore. So yeah, I decided I don't want to eat my friends anymore. So I am on a vegan diet. So anyway, that is not what we're going to talk about today. What I do want to speak to you about is communications. And I love you so much. I want to let you know this. And I noticed out in the world is that a lot of people lack communications, and a lot of that might be because, you might have never been taught how to communicate properly, in a way that is good, so you might have came from a family member, a family that, maybe they didn't know how to communicate. And so, that's what happens a lot with families is that they only can do what they know. And if their family didn't teach them anything, about how to communicate or how to love their children, how are they going to know? So like I said, I love you all. And so I want to teach you or give you some tips about how to communicate with each other. And nowadays, because we have the internet, and there's so many different devices these days, I can't even keep up with them. And we have cell phones, even the kids do these days. I was amazed not too long ago, I seen like a 5-year-old already having her cell phone, I was like, wow, okay. So anyway, even the little ones are already starting out with cell phones. I didn't know that. So the best way to communicate is in person. That's a number one, ching, number one. I love, that's my best way of communicating with people. And I really, if I got something serious to talk to somebody about, I've learned it definitely isn't the best way to do it through like emails or, texting or like leaving a voicemail. The best way to communicate with somebody, if possible, is to talk to them in person, face to face. That is the best way to communicate. And, some of you might not have a voice, and I understand that sometimes it's easier to, like to text on your computer or text on your devices, and tell somebody how you feel, but it's harder, to do that in person. To me, it's the best way to communicate is in person, so I really want to start out with how to communicate with your children, so there's steps to all of this. So they're little now, like if you got little kids, so you really, in the beginning when you have little kids, you really want to be very honest to them. That's number one tip, like honesty is the best policy, that you can never lose when you're being honest. And it's not always easy being honest, let me tell you, because I prefer being honest. I am a Christian, so I do. Not that I haven't lied, I have lied. Like my mom's cooking, and yeah, Ma, this tastes great. And I'm like, it's like, oh man. But, I didn't want to hurt her feelings, because she really would get offended if I really told her what I thought about that soup, you know. So those are kind of, they call it, well, I don't know where they get this term, because I love every person out there. I don't really care if you're purple, orange, or, you know, like green, you know, where they call it white lies, and I don't know where all they get these names from. But yeah, so that's what I did in the past, you know, where I thought, I heard this thing where they say, do unto others as you would want them to do unto you. So I had people lying to me a lot, and they thought they were getting away with it, but I wasn't stupid. I just played dumb. You know, I don't know. You probably have done that, maybe just play dumb. Or maybe you are the type of person that knows when somebody's lying, and you confront them right away. You're like, hey, that's a bunch of, you know. So I'm not going to swear. I do want these videos for kids also, so they can learn some things. So anyway, as far as little kids and everybody that you're in contact with, honesty is the best policy, even if it hurts, you know. So anyway, I want to start off with that. And when it comes to little kids, as far as communication goes, it's best to be the example, you know, to your kids. You know, you might tell them what to do, like rules in the house, but are you following the same rules you apply, you know, like you're telling them that they should do? You know, so if you tell them, you know, not to do a certain thing in the house, you know, and then they see you doing it, you know, it's a confusing thing to little kids. Well, you know, like mommy's doing it and daddy's doing it and my big brothers are doing it, but, you know, they say I'm too little and I can't do it. You know, say for instance, like smoking, you know, kids, I don't smoke. I did when I was younger. So, you know, I can't tell you what to do. But those are things that, you know, I would really love you to work on, you know, because I want to see you live a long time, you know, and be healthy. And I'm not going to preach on you about what cigarettes are, because you already know that. But, you know, it's best, you know, if you do have kids, you know, like to not let them know that you smoke, you know, if you do. You know, my parents didn't smoke, but guess what? I learned it from other people, you know. So I had relatives that came around, and I wasn't interested in smoking, but then when they came around, I was like, huh, I wonder what, you know, that is like, and that's how I started, you know. So you really want to be a good example to the little ones, even when they get bigger, you know, like you always want to be that model, you know, like you want them to live, you know. You know, there's things in the Bible, you know, like in this goes on a lot in the churches about, you know, kind of being like a hypocrite. So you don't want to be a hypocrite saying, do as I say, not as I do, you know. So that really confuses kids, and you don't want them to get confused. So when it comes down to little kids, and say if they get in trouble and they're so little and they're, you know, they're just learning how to talk, and or they're a little bit older, you really want to make sure you have the time to talk to them. You know, when they are little, they really need all your attention as much as possible. And you want to explain things in the simplest form, so that way they understand, you know. And then when they, you know, like I have a grandson that's like 3.5 right now, so his vocabulary is growing. I'm so proud of him. But when they get a little bit older than 3, when they start to understand words better, you know, when they're in school, when they start going in school, you know, you want to say if they did something wrong, you know, and you want to punish, and I'm not saying that anything about beating your child, not at all. I don't believe in that. So you don't have to beat your children. You know, there's other ways that you can discipline your kids. So anyway, say if your child breaks a rule in the house, you know, and first, that's the first step, is you got to make rules in your house for your kids, you know, like, and then the family, you know, needs to know, every family member needs to understand what those rules are. You know, it could be that, you know, like little kids, that you're not allowed to leave the house. Why? You know, it's not a safe world out there. You don't want, you know, like a 5-year-old or a 6-year-old to leave the house. You know, they're not able to drive a car, you know, like, so, you know, there's rules, and kids will be tempted to do all kinds of things out there. So say if you already had the rules set up, and then they broke a rule and they did something they weren't supposed to do, I don't know, I'm trying to think, maybe eat something that they weren't supposed to eat. Maybe they have a health condition that they're not supposed to eat, like peanuts or something. There's people that have serious illness, peanut allergies that they have, and maybe they ate something without knowing what's in it. You don't want to punish your child for something like that, but what you want to do is to talk to them and explain to them, and then if you don't know if they really understand, you can have them and say, okay, now mommy or daddy, because this could be men or women out here, is, all right, I just got done telling you what you shouldn't be doing and why it's important that you need to really break it all down. Don't just expect because, they're just little, they're just starting out. So you want to break everything down to the simplest forms and then, have them repeat, okay, now what did mommy or daddy just tell you? And that's what I did with my kids as they were growing up because, mine were teenagers when I was going through this. They have things in their mind, they got all kinds of stuff going around in their heads. And, maybe you told them what to do and then later on you're like, they didn't do, I gave them a list of things to do and, I see a couple things got done. So, as far as kids go, it was really good to have a list, like if you got jobs to do for them, which is really important. You don't want to raise up lazy children. Definitely don't. So you got to really start off, like giving them jobs at a very young age, 3.5. Ding! Start doing it at 3. Like when they're able to do little things, like you can teach them how to fold washcloths at, like at those ages. They love helping. And so let them help. You might think, they're just, a pain, they're in my way, they're making a mess. Hey, get over it, they want to help. Encourage that stuff. So anyway, you just want to, when they get old enough where they're going to school and they know how to read, make a list. Make sure they can read your writing, like don't cursive write, like make sure it's simple enough where they can understand. And, you could have like 3 chores or something to do, little small things, something. You got to get them to do something, like teach them responsibility at a young age, make it a habit. And, like when you're doing stuff around the house, don't complain, oh, I got to do dishes now. Oh, I got to go cook. Oh, I got to go work. Oh, I got to go clean the toilet, Oh, I got to vacuum now. If you are complaining about all your duties in the house, what kind of example is that for them to follow? So you really do. You want to make sure you are being the example to them, starting off when they're little. You don't want to start off, and not have them do anything. And then when they get teenagers, like, I've been cleaning for them their whole life, and now I'm going to have them do chores. Too late. Good luck on that one. And that is hard. I'm not saying it's not, you're not able to get them to work, but really if you didn't start out when they're little, like 3 or 4, it is going to be hard. They're not going to want to work. Why? Because you've been doing it the whole time. So, and now I'm going to talk about, I talked a little bit about different ages. So, and then, like you want your child or children, like to repeat, like have them like tell you what you just told them. Make sure they're really paying attention to what you said. Maybe they had a bad day at school, or, maybe they're old enough to work and they got, maybe they didn't have a good day at work and they got their mind filled, or maybe they're in love with somebody, at a teenager age, or even younger kids, can be in love with somebody and they'd be like, oh, but Johnny and so are Sally. It's like, oh, like you don't know what's going on in their minds, so you definitely want to make sure they're hearing you, and make sure it's a good time. Make sure, like the TV isn't on where they're going to get distracted. Make sure, like nobody else is talking when you're trying to give them all these directions. Make sure that, it's a good time and a place. You don't want the whole family arguing and fighting. Hopefully that's not going on. And then you're like, now, Johnny, now, did you do, like, because it's going to complicate everything for them. So you definitely want to make sure everybody is quiet when you're telling them stuff, so they're not, like thinking about what's going on around them. And as far as relationship goes with family members, we'll start with family members. And like I said in the beginning of this video, honesty is the best policy, okay? So you really want to be honest. No matter what, even if it hurts, even if it hurts, you want to be honest. And even if they're not honest to you, don't do what I was doing before. I thought, hey, they're not being honest with me. Do unto others as they would do unto you. Well, I guess they want me to lie back, because you know what I learned on that is that you're just as bad as them now. You're bringing yourself to a lower level, and you don't want to do that. So now you're actually just like them. You're a liar too, and then maybe you might think about lying because, it ends up being like a habit, because now, you got maybe 3 relatives that they lie to you, and now you're lying to them. And then then you find yourself lying about other stuff. You're like, oops, so you don't want to do that. And so like with family, what a lot of people don't like, and I struggled with this when I was younger, especially in relationships. I did, I have a huge heart, and I never want to hurt anybody's feelings. I don't. And, there's times I wanted to say something, or maybe somebody asked me something, and man, I didn't want to hurt their feelings, because I care. I'm an empath, I am very sensitive to people's emotions. Yeah, I was beating around the bush, I was like, well, and it's like I just had a hard time, like getting the truth out. Like, you might have problems with your family members, and it's best if you're not going to be honest, don't say anything right away, or if somebody asks you, hey, can you do something, you don't have to give an answer right away, and so you do have to, practice a lot of times, say no. And it's tough, I've always said yes, even though it was a no. So I was being taught, again, by Ralph Smart, Infinite Waters. I'm going to bring him up on a lot of these videos. So if you haven't heard of him, really check him out on YouTube. He is awesome. He's got so much insight, and I encourage you to do that. So he taught me that is, yeah, you have to make sure when you say no, it's a no. If you, in your mind, you don't want to help somebody out, like they want, hey, can you go bring me to the store, or can you do this, or yeah, can you babysit my kids tomorrow night? And you're like, really? Tomorrow? I don't really want to, but yeah, I will babysit tomorrow. You don't want to, you don't want to do that. Don't be afraid to say no, So sometimes what you got to do, like I had to do, which is kind of funny, is one of my brothers taught me this, is sometimes, it works. It really does. Is you can go in your mirror, and you're like, in my mirror. Yeah, you can go in your mirror, and if you have a hard time with family members, maybe they're always asking for stuff, and it's like, when does it ever end? Do I ever get a break? And so anyway, this is the family members that are just using you, so these are the ones that are always asking for things. So you might, have to go in your mirror and look at yourself in the mirror and pretend the person that you have a hard time saying no to look in the mirror. Act like they are inside the mirror and you're talking to them. And maybe you want to say something to them. So what you got to do is you just like imagine that they are in the mirror and you're like, I can't do it. And you don't have to give it a reason. Period. That's it. Don't give it a reason. They don't need one. You don't want to because you don't want to. You don't have to say, well, I don't want to because I don't really want to. I don't feel like it. Or I don't want to because that's where a lot of people, they fall in the trap of wanting to lie about something. Well, I'm really busy tomorrow, but really you're not. Really tomorrow you really just want to be left alone. You want it, it's your day off. So you might have to practice in the mirror and say their name. Say if it's a guy named Tom, sorry Tom, but I can't do it. Period. That's it. And it will leave them. I mean, they'll be like, huh? Because normally they're always used to getting yes, 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 yes. They need to learn to get a no. No. Huh? Where'd that come from? You said no? You're not going to baby my... What? Yeah, don't explain. And if they ask, then if you want to, you could say, because I don't want to. Point blank. Tomorrow's my day off. I want to be left alone. I don't want to babysit your kids. And I know you want to go out and do this and that, but really, unless, this family or people really are going through a struggle and stuff like that where they need time off in that way, then you might want to actually help out, because you don't want, that area might be a little different. So that is ways to handle things with your family and even relationships. I got to pick on both sexes here. So, there's a lot of times women get picked on about this, and it's not always the women, guys. Nope, it's not. Women always love to have you buy stuff for them a lot. Hey, honey, there's this, you could be shopping and wow, I really like this, honey. And they might be hinting around that you can buy it for them, or do this or that for them, where, they don't always have to have a yes. And now, this is a tough one. I have to pick on the men. There's times that men, they want their needs met in some way or another. And, and they don't like to hear this, but, sometimes the women actually might have to say, sorry, honey, but no. So a lot of guys don't like that, is when they get a no. And they were hoping for a yes. Maybe she's really, not feeling it, I don't want to get in details on this because I do really want to help a lot of other people out. So you know where I'm going with this, but it shouldn't be always a no. So, and women, and this happens a lot, is that, women will use that as a tool, get in their way. And I've known lots of women out there hey, if you do this, I'll do that, and I'm not going to explain, but I think you can read between the lines very easily enough. So that goes on a lot. And like I said earlier, women aren't the only one after men's money. I have lots of people on my Facebook or, out there in the world saying, hey, Starlight, can you give me some money? And when that happens to me, when a guy, does that, people have been trying to scam me on my Facebook a lot. And it's really, shame on you. If you're that kind of guy that is trying to get a woman's money, really, shame on you. Really. But that happens a lot out there, where, I've actually had relatives that, what they wanted, they didn't want to go to work, but they wanted, they wanted to find a rich woman where she will take care of him. So, and that does happen with both sexes, it's just not women. So, communicating with men, like husband and wife, is really what I've learned is that you need to make sure, like if you're talking about serious stuff, you need to make sure it's the right time and the right place. And there's so many things on that topic is that as far as like with men, I've known is, or this could be with women, if they worked, women, I'm talking to you, is if your husband or boyfriend has worked all day long and you had a stressful day with the kids or at work, you don't want to hurry up, like when he gets home, to hurry up and like, oh, honey, my day, like it was so bad. The kids were pulling my hair out of my head and all this stuff because, you know what? Things are not going to go very well. You might have a loving husband or a loving boyfriend, but really, when he gets home, make sure, that when he gets home, let him have some time. Let him, he just got done. He might have been just doing 12-hour shift, and he's coming home. He's worn out from his day. So you don't want to, spill the beans, first thing they come in the house. Because what's going to end up happening, if that ends up a habit and he's a sweetheart, maybe he lets you do this repeatedly over and over again, it could cause a lot of problems, with your relationship, to the point that he might want to work even more. Maybe he doesn't want to come home. And that goes with guys and girls, like men and women, like make sure that he got home, if he takes a shower when he gets home and gets in his comfortable clothes, whatever he wears, and he could be hungry, make sure he's got some food in his gut, make sure that he like is well taken care of, like make sure he ate his food. You do not want to talk to a man that hasn't eaten. Nope. So, yeah, there are men out there that, their body starts feeling a certain way, and if they haven't eaten food in a while, their body starts having some language going on, and, communicating with them when they didn't have food might be the wrong time to communicate, and all men are different, so you want to make sure that he is taken care of and rested up, and make sure you're kind and sweet about what you want to talk to. Before you talk to him, make sure you organize what you want to talk about. Don't make it like a big huge story like I used to. I'm like I had a hard time speaking and expressing what I wanted to tell him. Maybe, maybe he's been getting on my nerves about something, maybe a certain habit or something like that. And I'm like, I can't handle it anymore. I love him, but, I actually got to bring this up because it is affecting me. And I don't think he sees it, so I need to bring it up. It could be something in the bedroom area or something, like around the house. Like in men, the same thing. Maybe your wife, like maybe there's things that you want to talk to her about, and the same thing applies, is that make sure, she's well taken care of. Make sure it's not first thing she gets home, make sure she gets cleaned up, freshened up, eats, and not before she is so tired she's ready to go to bed. You don't want to talk to people when they're so tired. You might not get a good response from anybody when they're tired. You might have to just wait the next day, or if it can wait, like weekends when they have a time off, when you have a time off, that might be the best time to really communicate. And like I said, make sure they ate, and make sure they are, changed in their comfy clothes. Make sure they're not too tired, because you're not going to get a good response. And as far as this is mainly not, I can't speak for women, but this might go for men and women. There's a certain place that you want to communicate. Like if you're married and you have kids, or your girlfriend and boyfriend and you have kids, You don't want to communicate about private matters in front of your kids. Never. Be responsible enough and be an adult and know what goes on with mommy and daddy is none of the kids' business. They should not know anything about your issues, because little kids are not stupid and teenagers are not stupid. You know, a lot of times they will try to see who favors them the more, and they will stir up problems, and it can cause a lot of division between the mom and dad or whoever is raising the kids. So you do not, I repeat, do not let them know that you have an issue. Be strong enough that you never argue in front of your kids. This is so important, because what are you teaching your kids? A lot of times the kids think it's their fault. They don't know what's going on. And, kids, you don't know this, but they get afraid when they see mommy and daddy fighting. They do. They get afraid because they don't know what's going to happen. So you really do not want to argue in front of your kids ever. It's none of their business. That stuff should be private. Be patient enough to wait when you have time, and make sure you're in a space where they're not around to talk about serious matters. And the other thing is, I don't know if this applies to women, but I definitely do know it does apply to men, is when communicating, there is a time and place. So if you want to talk about something serious, and if you do have this kind of guy or a girl, because I know like you can have careless drivers, reckless drivers that, raid road people. It could be a guy or a girl. But, if it's something important and serious, don't talk to them when you're driving in the car. Or if they're driving in the car and you're the passenger. Don't. Because it could be a road rage thing. They could get very upset, and if you're with them, it could cause a really horrible accident. So you don't ever, if that person is he doesn't drive good and he's a reckless, careless driver, and if you are with somebody like that, I would really think twice who you're really involved with, really. It's a red flag right there, because it just shows that they don't care about your safety or anybody else's on the road. So you really need to think twice if it's a girl or a guy. If they get upset and they drive and they start speeding and start driving reckless and all that stuff, you better think twice of who you're actually going out with. So those are some tips. And anyway, I hope you get a lot of help from those tips that I have for you as far as communication goes. I will be touching on this. It was hard because there were so many things to talk about, and I don't want these videos too long. So if you like this video, give it a thumbs up and give it a like. And if you like it, please subscribe to my channel. I will have so much more, especially on families. I love kids a lot, and I'm here to protect them. I really am. I love little kids and big kids, no matter what age, and we're all like little kids, really. So I love all of you. And like I said, if you like it, put thumbs up and subscribe. And as always, make sure you are being kind to yourself every day, all day. And be kind to your kids, your family, all those that are loving and supporting you, and even those that don't like you. Be kind to them. Don't be like them, because if you are, then you're just like them. So ignore them if they are, bad or whatever to you, and, disrespectful. Ignore them. Stay away, And anyway, also, don't forget your furry friends, or even those creepy crawly friends that you might have running around. And anyway, I love all of you. This is Starlight. Love and light. Peace.